Madam Clerk?
Here.
Member Connor?
Present.
Member DeSimone?
Present.
Executive Director Miguel Nunez?
Present.
Lead Councilor Carter?
Present.
Thank you so much. Today for Legislative Committee, the first item in our agenda is we will hear a report from the Executive Director and legislation that was submitted to the General Assembly during this 2026 session. Director?
Thank you, Madam Chair, members of the committee. During this past session of the General Assembly, the following 10 election bills were passed and have been signed by the governor. All except one bill were supported by the board. The board had no position on House Bill 7090 and Senate Bill 2491, which I will be covering. First, I wanted to cover the two Board of Elections submitted bills that were passed by the General Assembly. House Bill 7494, Senate Bill 3112. This act adds the fields for the driver's license number and the last four digits of the Social Security number to the mail ballot applications. And if the board determines during the certification process with the staff that the voter's signatures on file within the CVRS do not match the signature that is contained on the voter's ballot, the board may then review that signature on that ballot envelope and compare it to the signature on the application for the ballot. However, taking into account whether the driver's license number and or the last four digits of the voter's Social Security number have been verified when determining whether to accept or void the ballot. This act also allows the board to set up a secure area for the certification of mail ballots within our facility here. And also, as has been done in the past, under our rules and regulations, voters who signature does not match, their envelope signature does not match what is on file within the central voter registration system, the voter will still continue to receive a cure letter, which they have 3 days after a primary or 7 days after a general election in order to correct their signature to have their ballot counted in that fashion. The next bill is House Bill 7782 and Senate Bill 3113. This act extends the recount deadline in a general election for state and federal offices from 7 to 9 days. This allows for all ballots to have been tabulated before a candidate needs to make the decision on whether to file a recount request. The recount deadline for the primary still remains 24 hours. Both of those bills were board-introduced bills. The next bill is House Bill 7007 AA and Senate Bill 2341. This act allows eligible, disabled, and military voters to continue to utilize electronically transmitted ballots to the Board of Elections via a secure system. If you recall previously, that statute had been sunsetted at the end of last year, and this enabling legislation was passed early in the session to make that a permanent feature for disabled and military voters. House Bill 7049 AA and Senate Bill 2147A. This act moved the date of the upcoming statewide primary from September 8th to September 9th due to the Labor Day holiday. House Bill 7090 and Senate Bill 2491, the companion. This act moved the date of the presidential preference primary from the fourth Tuesday in April to the first Tuesday in March, beginning with the 2028 presidential preference primary. House Bill 7358 and its companion, Senate Bill 2130, requires that write-in votes be tallied by the Board of Elections or the Board of Canvassers under certain circumstances, such as the total number of write-in votes may impact the election outcome or falls within the margin of the valid recount requests for that office. It also subjects the board to the Administrative Procedures Act for any rulemaking related to write-ins. Images of all write-in votes as captured by our voting equipment, whether the write-ins are tallied or not, must be published on our website. And that's been a practice that we have voluntarily been doing on our website since 2022. House Bill 7377 with companion Senate Bill 2136A, requires party chairs to submit lists of Board of Canvasser member notifications within 30 days of a vacancy occurring on the local board. It also requires that the fixed 6-year terms of members of the Board of Canvassers expire in March of odd-numbered years. It also designates a chief election official within each community for the purpose of serving as a liaison with state election officials and for authorizing or revoking access to the CVRS, or Central Voter Registration System. House Bill 7434 and Senate Bill 3339 prohibits ICE employees, agents, or officials from being within 200 feet of any polling place during voting. House Bill
Except to vote, right?
except to vote, which was implemented in the substitute A's, which the board had recommended. House Bill 7495A and 2334B. This act allows campaign funds to be used for home or office security expenses, including the purchase, installation, maintenance, and monitoring of security systems. As you recall, although the original language in the bill was not included, that the board had recommended, Rick Thornton gave a report on the changes that were implemented, and it was simplified down to essentially accomplish what the board was seeking to accomplish with the recommendations for the sub-A. House Bill 7092AA and its companion Senate Bill 2309. This act reduces the required number of signatures on nomination papers for candidates to 50 eligible voters. It also changes the submission deadline for nomination papers to 54 days prior to the presidential preference primary and requires local boards to certify signatures prior to the primary. That concludes my report on the legislation that has passed the General Assembly this session for elections and campaign finance. And I'm happy to answer any questions from the committee.
I have a quick question. For 7434 regarding the 200 feet, I don't remember do we remember when it's supposed to take, like, it started, is it right away?
Effective immediately.
Effective
yes.
immediately? Okay.
Correct.
So with that said, is there any guidance or support that we're providing the boards of canvassers around this?
At this time, we have been asked by the local boards of canvassers at our meetings and any type of guidance, and the staff is waiting for the legislation to be passed. But at this point, it would likely be up to the board what type of guidance has to be issued.
Yeah.
We are certainly going to tell them what the statute says. However, it would be up to, I would imagine, police officers to enforce it.
Okay.
And that has been a question that we've been asked by the local board, is how is this enforced?
Yeah, because I think that was a big part of it. And I believe, but correct me if I'm wrong, I think if it's after a certain amount of days and the governor didn't sign it, it automatically becomes law anyway. So I think it might have fully passed as law now.
Correct.
Even though he
As far as when I checked, he did sign it.
Oh, he did sign it. Okay,
Yes.
I'm sorry. I thought you said he didn't. Yeah. So I guess that was part of the question. To your point, the bill doesn't really have a enforcement structure. So that's why I guess it would be a really interesting thing of where does that enforcement come from us or from somewhere else?
But isn't it the same as the current campaign within a certain
Mm-hmm.
amount of footage? You can
Correct.
mark it
Yeah.
off, and the local police would be able to enforce
Okay.
it.
And if there was any question on that, I mean, the board has from time to time done directives.
Mm-hmm.
So you have the regulatory powers, but you could
Yeah.
also issue a directive
Mhm.
to the public, more importantly, to the local boards if needed.
Mm-hmm.
You know, if Miguel found that there was confusion and
Mm-hmm.
you reported back there was some kind of confusion on it, we could do a directive to the local boards.
Yeah, I think that would be helpful, especially this also assumes early voting, right? And early voting includes city halls.
Well, early
Right.
voting is going to be a question that comes up in the next, in the board meeting today, as far as the restrictions outside of early voting.
No, but wouldn't this law now also impact early voting?
Potentially,
Okay.
but
got it.
there is a question for the 50-foot rule outside of
Oh.
early voting as well.
Got it. Okay.
So
Sorry, I understand. I understand what you're saying.
that's something that I think we have to discuss further to see how this impacts city or town halls.
Oh, interesting. Got it. Because that would also be an interesting wrench, especially in some of the smaller cities, which is where ICE is, near their city halls. Okay, thank you.
And that concludes my report.
Any other questions? All right, so do we have a motion to end the meeting?
Motion adjourned.
Say, all in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Meeting adjourned. Thank you.